Hello everyone. Welcome to the brand new episode of Tetranoodle. Tetranoodle is an IT training course company which helps you in enhancing your skills and impart you the best IT industry knowledge. In this episode of Tetranoodle, we will go through the tools of DevOps and understand the use and importance of DevOps in IT industry nowadays. Today we will study and will perform hands-on practice on tools like Jenkins, Ansible, and Docker. We will also understand the use of these tools and how these tools are widely used in the IT fields to make our day-to-day life easier. We will do hands-on practices set on such tools. We will gather the insight view, a touch and feel of these tools by installing them, using them, and by playing around with them. So, to automate our day to day task in the IT infrastructure role in our respective companies. The whole objective of this training is not just to do the task just for the heck of doing it, it is rather enjoying what you're doing it. Enjoying the automation of daily activities with every individual contributor is performing in their daily IT routine. Tetranoodle is the platform which will help you out in gaining those skills to get yourself skilled on such technologies and will also help you in gaining a huge level of expertise in such tools. In this duration of course, we will do hands-on practices. We'll try to gather some insight facts of the technical stack by performing some quizzes and by looking at some interview-based questions. I, Lakshya Kapoor, welcome you all to this class of DevOps with the full of excitement and with a vision that after the completion of this course, you guys will be able to achieve a huge level of expertise and satisfaction in technical skills. I have 10 years of experience in DevOps and have worked on more than 28 plus projects in DevOps, which includes multinational brands and big financial institutions in capacity of an architect from ground level to the upper scale. I would also like to inform you guys that post this training program, you will be able to solve a small project which we will be giving to you and which has to be completed in stipulated time, for which you will be awarded a participation certification as well. You will also be getting all sort of training material in this course like repository access, VM creation links, its knowledge base, VM on demand, general PPTs, and links to download the required software to replicate the same kind of environment at your end. In this section of DevOps training, we will uh, use AWS as our cloud computing platform, Jenkins as our CI/CD tool, and Docker for the containerization. We will also understand the basic concepts of these tools. For which purpose do we use these tools? I'm sure some of you guys must be having a doubt, like I am new to this domain and don't have any sort of knowledge or know-how of these tools. So my answer would be that's why we all are here for. You don't need any previous background or previous knowledge for learning this course. Just a fresh mind will suffice the need. So without wasting time, let's get started. Before going ahead, let's understand what DevOps is first of all. What do you understand by the term DevOps? And what brings this in the market? Guys, I would like to bring into your knowledge that DevOps is highly paid profile nowadays in the IT industry. So let's see that how and why DevOps is essential. So when I talk about DevOps basically means development plus operations. That means that any task which has been given to you, you are whole soul responsible from starting point to the ending point. So it is an end-to-end automation. Now, when you talk about end-to-end automation, that means that you use the tools for continuous integration, for continuous development, for continuous deployment, and for the containerization purposes, because that is the core of what you are building. Now we will understand what basically when we are talking about CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous development, what deployments, what exactly is this? Before going ahead, I would like to introduce this console as an AWS console, which we are using as of now. It is a simple procedure. If you don't have an AWS console, you can simply go onto the aws.amazon.com. You just need to sign in with your credentials. The only requirement is an email ID. So if you have a valid email address, just put in there. You will be given a 1 year free trial. And with this 1 year free trial, you will be able to use it as many instances as you can create, as many groups, security groups, templates, volumes, snapshot. It has been given to you. However, it is a desired amount which has been allocated once you sign up as a free trial account. Post that, it would be a chargeable service. We will go ahead and first of all, we'll have a look on creation of the instance. Post that, we will have a look on the installation of tools like Jenkins, and we will also understand the concept of CI and CD tool. So let's get started. So it is very simple. You just go on to the launch instance, make sure that you are in the correct geographical location. Once you are there, you can simply go onto the launch instance. You can select whatever the flavor of Linux you want from this particular console. I am using Ubuntu 18. I'm selecting it. So if you have selected the operating system type, it will ask you what kind of provisioning do you want. When I'm saying provisioning, that means the CPUs, memory, instance storage, and many more. My requirement would be 1 CPU, 2 virtual memories. Reason, because I would be using Ansible in the same machine, the same master machine. Now you need to configure the instance details, number of instance, network, subnet, public IP. It depends on whatever you are using it. Then you can add the storage. My requirement would be 70 GB. I'm putting it. I can specify what kind of a storage I can use. Either it can be a general purpose SSD or a provisioned SSD or a magnetic HDD. I'm adding that to it. So I'm putting Jenkins with Ansible. Once the tag has been created, I'm going on to my security group. I'm adding a rule. I'm adding ICMP v4, reason being if in case I have to ping my machines, I would be able to do that. By default, it is not given in the AWS instances. I will also go ahead and use the TCP. I'll change the source so as to the people who are staying abroad, they would be able to ping my machine and use it. Once the instance details have been captured over here, you can verify them. Once it is okay, you can go on to the launch. I will create a new pair. This key pair is very mandatory in order to log into the machine. I'm downloading the key pair. Make sure that you can only download this key pair once. So I have my key pair. I can probably go onto my desktop and I can put it over there. Once I have it, I will launch the instance. I acknowledge it. So you can go ahead and have a look on the instance logs. So if I go to view instance. I can see that it is still in the under the pending state. Once I have it, it would be a running instance, and then I'll be able to connect to this instance. Post that, I can go ahead and change my key. I can open it. I can save the key, the public key and the private key. I'm making the changes over here. It depends on what names you would like to go ahead and use it. So I'm putting in Jenkins. I'm saving it. Once it is saved, in the meanwhile, I can see that my machine is also up and running. I can go ahead and connect to my machine. I need to go onto the putty. I can browse my key. It is there on my desktop. And now it is verified. The key has been verified and I am logged in. Make sure, guys, that every time once you are logged into the machine, you need to go ahead and you need to switch your user to the root user, because if in case you don't switch to the root user, you would be facing issues with installing the packages. Now, going ahead, once the machine has been created, we will have a look on what Jenkins is all about. So I would like to bring into your notice that earlier there was a traditional integration which used to take place, which was taking a greater time gap and relatively was a great risk of the conflicts as well. So in order to build that gap, in order to fix it up, what they have done is we have come across with one utility which is called as Jenkins, which is called as CI/CD tool. Now, in order to solve these problems, what we did is that we broke the problem, the entire big issue, into small chunks of pieces. We split the entire chunks of code into segments. So we break it and we split them and we gave them the steps. Step 1, 2, 3, 4. So the first step would be that I am breaking the entire code into segments, then keeping the small segments of the manageable code and integrating them, the segmented code, multiple times, and I can adopt the methodology of coordinating with the teams. So in a process, if I talk about, continuous integration is the process of automating the building and testing of the code each time. One of the team member commit changes to the version control. The version control can go ahead and initiate the process. It can build it and then test it, which solves my problem. The gap which has been filled now, and it has given me the beauty which is continuous integration, which relatively reduced my time gap and also the risks of confliction. So it improves the quality of my code by running them multiple unit tests and analyzing the various static codes. It has increased the productivity of automating the build of the code, which saves the time as well, and it has also reduced the time to eliminate the risk and the potential of the human error. Nowadays, Jenkins is being used very popularly and with multiple companies. Jenkins TeamCity, Travis CI, these are some of the tools, Bamboo, these are some of the tools which are being used popularly in the market, and they have been awarded a huge level. However, Jenkins is awarded the best tool because of the Google Analytics, as what they say. Reasons: because it is an open source, it has multiple plugin support, it has a community support, it supports almost all repositories, which is not the case with Bamboo, as it is not an open source. It is an expensive plugin manager, and it has a small user community which supports all repositories, but up to a small extent. When we talk about Travis CI, we don't have a community support and much flexibility on the plugins. So, as per the Google Trends, it says that Jenkins have gained the much more better popularity. The companies which are using Jenkins nowadays is AT&T, Comcast, JP Morgan Chase, and Lockheed Martin, Cisco, and many more. So Jenkins is basically a continuous integration server which manages and control the processes such as planning of the code, writing of the code, building of the code, testing of the code, deploying of the code, and operate and monitoring of the DevOps environment. These are some of the features. This is what Jenkins is all about. And as we know why it is so popular, because of the open source, good plugin support, good community support, fast and reliability, good operating system support, and multi-scripted builds. There are some of the features of Jenkins. Now the features are easy installation process, advanced security, optimized performance, easy availability of the upgrades, use of containerization, and distributed team management system. So in a big picture, if we talk about the role of the Jenkins, is from putting the builds onto the SVN or a central repository, which is Git, Jenkins, then it goes to the build and unit test. It performs the functional testing and it gets deployed. Once it is deployed, it will check branch it has to be deployed from, either a test, release, or a production, and respectively it goes to the same kind of an environment. We will also have a look on the plugin management in Jenkins once we are there. And just to give you a brief idea, we have multiple update plugin management system. We have availability, installed plugins, advanced plugins, and many more. We will also create different kind of projects, which can be a freestyle project, multi-configuration project, GitHub project, pipeline project, folder project, or a pipeline project. When I talk about freestyle project, this is basically a central feature of the Jenkins, where you can build a normal project. When I talk about multi-configuration, it is suitable for the project which needs a larger number of different configurations, such as testing, multiple environments, and many more. When I talk about GitHub organization, it is basically scanning of the GitHub organization which matches all repositories. Pipeline is suitable for organizing the complex activities, folder for the containerization purpose, and multi-branch pipeline for the detection of the multi-branch with the SM repository. And so this was the workflow when we talk about Jenkins. Now, this was all about Jenkins, but to get the big picture and a deep dive on what Jenkins is all about, I would like to bring into your notice the Maven. Now, Jenkins is a brainless machine. Every CI/CD machine is a brainless machine. It needs a brain to go ahead and work, right? So, in this course, we will be using Ansible as a brain of Jenkins so that it can fetch the code and deploy the code from our required places. Now, Jenkins workflow to build the Maven project, we will first of all use Maven in this course. There are two compilers which are used with Jenkins. One is Ant, other is Maven. Ant is basically build.xml. In build.xml, this is a file name, build.xml. You write the source and the target. You define what artifacts, what plugins you would require in order to download them from the repositories so that you can use them with your job, with your project job, which you will be creating with Jenkins. Similarly, we have Maven, which has a file which is called as pom.xml, which is called as project object model. Now, in this, you define only the project requirement rather than defining the dependencies requirement. So Maven is capable enough of installing those dependencies requirement by itself, and that is the reason it is popularly used nowadays. We can go ahead and the developer point of view, they can commit frequent changes, and our Jenkins can fetch those changes from the central repository. It can build it, and when it is building it, it can get the dependencies and project information from pom.xml. Post that, it compile it and configure the build. So it triggers the build, it create the jar or the EAR file, and it deploys it. So which is called as post build action. Now post build action means that you are running the code as a pipeline, and post integration you are running the deployment job. We will have a much more insight view of this once of POM, of Jenkins, of everything once we are working with it.
Okay, before we get any deeper, let me introduce myself first. My name is Manuj Agarwal. I've been in this industry for about 20 years, and even though I have been awarded multiple patents in cutting edge fields like machine learning, even though I am teaching 90,000 students across 190 countries, and even though I have interviewed more than 5,000 engineers in my career, and even though I'm a published author of 2 technology related books, there was a time and place in my life when I couldn't figure out what I was going to do to take control of my life and career. I was completely lost and helpless. You see, I grew up in a small agricultural community back in northern India where there were limited number of job or higher education opportunities. The nearest technical college was about 6 hours drive from my place. I was drenched. Every pore of my body was oozing out sweat, desperately trying to cool itself down. The thick grey smoke from the furnaces left black soot all over my face, clothes, and hands. The temperature outside was 50 degrees centigrade or 122 degrees Fahrenheit with 95% humidity. Inside, the furnaces were burning at around 1200 degrees centigrade, raging fire and heating the steel rods to bright orange glow, just below their melting point. As the red hot rods were popping out, they were stacked up. One by one, the rods were hammered by this huge double-story machine press, which dropped tons of pressure in a fraction of a second and forged the red-hot steel into humongous bolts and nuts. The deafening sound of the hammering machines and the roaring furnaces made it hard to listen to my own thoughts. That was a typical day at work for me. Believe it or not, my career started at 15 years of age while working in a factory. I worked there for 6 years while continuing my studies on the side, 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week, and I'm not telling you all this to feel sorry for me. I also learned a lot of things there. For instance, I interacted with people from various walks of life, businessmen, government officers, bank employees, and so on. All this gave me a strong foundation in soft skills. In the factory, we had to maintain strict quality standards, so I learned the importance of quality in whatever work you do. In spite of all the unique experiences, I knew I had to get out and make a better life for myself. But I had no money or resources. I tried to get a loan for higher education, but that was denied because I could not offer anything to the bank as a security deposit. In any case, I knew education was the only thing which could change my situation, which eventually it did, which is why I'm so passionate about lifelong learning and sharing the knowledge. Hey there! I just thought I will take a few minutes and give you a glimpse of my journey as an online instructor. There I was, a simple techno geek trying to make video courses and spread the knowledge which I have acquired over 20 years of my career in software and IT field. The thing is, at the time I had no idea how to make videos. I struggled a lot getting the audio right. I must have tried at least 5 mics before one worked. I did not know how to record quality videos without spending thousands of dollars on expensive equipment and getting the lighting right. You can see the logo on the white t-shirts turned out to be inverted. Anyway, I kept going and trying to figure things out. It took me 3 months to build my first course. I was so happy when the course got published. The big problem was that after the course was published, no one enrolled. Crickets. I realized I had to figure out a way to share my knowledge in a different manner. But I was already overwhelmed by the whole process of video making. If I didn't figure this out, that meant I had to put off the dream of becoming an online instructor forever. Then, as if by chance, something amazing happened. I realized the key to my success was that I had to get really good at getting constructive feedback from my audience, however small it was, and improve the content quality based on what they wanted. Instantly, it became crystal clear to me that I had to ask my learners to tell me how to provide them with the content they desired. Because I knew I was not good at making videos, but I had a lot of knowledge to share. So, if only I kept going, I could continuously and incrementally improve the quality of the content based on feedback from my students. My plan was to start increasing the quality of the content and incorporate other factors into the course content to make it a very pleasant learning experience for my students. This will be all based on feedback from my learners. I started a routine of checking the reviews and feedback every day, and I used it to improve the quality of our content. I learned how to set up proper lighting, use better cameras. I emptied out one of the rooms in my basement which we were using as storage and turned it into a makeshift studio. As you can see, it is still very scrappy. But I didn't stop there. I then hired professional actors with neutral accent to narrate the courses so that you can understand the content better. As you can notice, my accent is not neutral, and some learners whose first language was not English had trouble understanding the complex material. After that, we added a survey to the end of the courses so that you can provide us direct feedback easily. And I started creating new courses based on the feedback you provided. Building on that success, I decided to get really good at listening to your feedback, to become the ultimate provider of quality content which my students wanted. Not so I could become a star instructor, but because I really wanted to be a catalyst in spreading the knowledge to other people. Help my fellow engineers gain more knowledge and change their lives. I knew that my ultimate success was not about my ability to create courses, but my ability to give my learners exactly the content they wanted. With Tetranoodle online courses, I can now create great content which may not be perfect but will continuously improve. It will be based on direct feedback from my students. I know we still have a long way to go, but I promise to continue to listen to our audience very carefully. So please, if you notice something which you do not like or it does not resonate with you, please do let us know and we will make every effort to address it as soon as possible. Our goal is to be number one educational provider on technology and professional development. We will get there slowly but surely, but we really need your help and feedback. With continuous efforts and hard work, I'm glad to inform you that within 2 years, we are now among the top 10 online instructors on this platform. And that's why I'm so excited to share this course with you so that you can gain this knowledge and apply it in your tech projects or professional lives as well. Happy learning!
So let's start with the installation process first of all. So as I've told you that we are using over here our AWS machine. So what I'll do is I will first of all check the dependencies, the requirement of the machine. So I can see I have a private IP which is here. I can also have a look on the space, which looks good, and the version of my machine which I am using. You can also have a look on the flavor of the machine. Once it is done, now we will start with the provisioning. So when I'm talking about provisioning, I'll install some of the packages. Now when I'm talking about the packages, the most important thing I would like to bring into your notice is that we are using over here the repository manager, which is apt-get. So the most important thing which is required in our Jenkins is that you would like to go ahead and first of all you have to install Python. So when I'm talking about Python, so I will install apt-get install Python software properties. Once done, then I'll go ahead and I will install my Python. If in case you guys don't know the package name, you can go ahead and install. You can use star. So I see that we have the Python. So once the installation is completed, then we will see that we have installed the Python packages. Once we have the Python, we will proceed further. So Python is completed. Now we will install our repository, and once the repository is completed, we will be able to fetch the repository details. So our repository is added. Now we will use apt-get update. So it is updating, and it has already updated my repository. Now once we have it, now we will install our OpenJDK, and over here I'm using OpenJDK 8 version. So I will install it. It is getting installed. Once it is installed, I will go ahead and I will check the version. And once I have the version available, I will be able to go ahead and use that version of my OpenJDK. So guys, as you can see that OpenJDK is getting installed, and once we have the OpenJDK installed, we can probably go ahead and we can check our the Jenkins package. So we will install, we can duplicate that. So I will use Java version, and you can see I have an OpenJDK package available now. I can again use apt update so that my packages should be updated. Once it is there, I will be adding the repository. And now I will go ahead and add some more parameters to it. Now I will also add some more parameters to it. Once it is done, then I will again update it so that it should read the dependencies, the more modules which I have added. And now I will install my Jenkins over here. So you can see that Jenkins is getting downloaded and it is getting installed. So it is setting up the Jenkins. Once we have Jenkins running, we will have a look on the public IP at what Jenkins is and how we can go ahead and use the manager for the same. So it is the system D is trying to go ahead and install Jenkins. So system D in the newest version of the flavors. So earlier we were using system CTL. Now we are using earlier we were using system V. Now we are using system D. So now I can see that the Jenkins has been set up. And once it is done, now what I'll do is I will try to start it. First of all, let me check the status. It is running. It's very nice that we have a Jenkins running. I can again go ahead and update my Ubuntu machine. So once it is done, I can probably go ahead and also check the process with -eaf rep Jenkins. You can see that it is running. I can also have a look on the Java processes. What Java processes are running. You can see that the Java processes are also running, and I will see the port number. So I will use the port number, and it says that 8080 is listening by Java. Now, once I have it, I will go ahead and install, which is Apache 2. Now, why do I need Apache 2? Because in order to run my Maven and my Jenkins, I would need a Jenkins configuration file, which I would require a web server for the same. So in order to get that, I will install Apache 2, and I will also use my two proxies over here, which is A2EN mode proxy, and I will also use HTTP proxy. So once it is done, I am restarting it, and I will also use proxy underscore HTTP. Now it is activated, so I am restarting it again. Apache 2. Great. Now it should be available on my etc Apache 2 sites available. I should have this directory, and I will create one file which is jenkins.conf file. So this is my empty file right now. I will add some parameters. So I will use over here these parameters, which are my host entries. Once I have it, I will go ahead and restart my service once again, which is my Jenkins service. So I can use the command I do inside Jenkins, and it says that it has been enabled. The Jenkins site is enabled now. So I'm reloading it, and now once I have reloaded it, I should be able to see my Jenkins up and running. So for that, I will go ahead and check my public IP. So my public IP is this, and I know that my Jenkins run on port 8080. So guys, now you can see we have Jenkins up and running in a very smooth way. Now, very important thing over here is that whenever you go ahead and install Jenkins, every time you will see this page, which is unlocking of the Jenkins. So every time, by default, the first password is being given to you over here, which you can have a look, and you can probably go ahead and use that password to unlock it. Once you unlock it, you can go ahead and install the plugins. So I'm installing the suggested plugins which it is giving me. I click on this, and I should be able to install the suggested plugins now. So it says that the plugins are getting started. So once I have the plugins installed, I will go ahead and create a Maven project. First of all, I will go ahead and install Maven, and post that I will go ahead and use my Maven archetype, and I will go ahead and I will restart and reload my Jenkins as well. So it says that all these kind of tools are there. I can also go ahead and use 121. So just for the people who would like to go ahead and you create this. Otherwise, you can go ahead and create the admin part. So it says that now you can use Jenkins with the following URL, and it is finished. So I will be able to use my Jenkins now to create the job, to use it the way I want it. Amazing. Now, going ahead, what we will do is we will first of all install our Maven project, and we will create a Maven project. So to do that, what I'll do is first of all, I'll go ahead and I will install the package, which is Maven. So Maven is getting installed now with all the dependencies and with the package information. Once I will be able to install it, I can verify it using the command mvn version. And once it is verified, I should be able to go ahead and use my Maven in a much more better way. So Maven, just have a look. Let's understand what basically Maven is all about now. Basically, when we talk about Maven, so in the meanwhile, our machine will get installed, the Maven will get installed. So let us understand what Maven is. Maven is basically a tool that is used to compile, validate the code, and analyze the test cases in the codes. Maven is a widely used tool nowadays in the CI/CD industry, and because it helps in managing the build, reporting, and documentation with the GitHub or with the SCM, and it also called as it also creates a POM file, which is a POM project object model, and which contains the documentation of the objects, properties, methods, and events. So it is widely and popularly used nowadays, and reason because of its transparent migration and the best practices for the development. It is also used for a good quality for information and the uniform build system, and it is also used for the easy processing. Now, what we will do is we will try and see that it is still installing. So it is 60% completed yet. And in the meanwhile, what we'll do is we will have a look on the features of my Jenkins. So if I go on to the features, so this is my Jenkins page, and everything is managed from the bar, which is manage Jenkins. Now you have the global settings which are available over here. Now in the global settings, you can specify who can do what. So if you talk about the access controls, if you talk about any kind of issues, so what you can do is you can click on the secure type that anyone can do anything. So it depends on what kind of authorization you would like to go ahead with, and you can also specify that what kind of tags the administrator and the other users can go ahead and use it. So you can specify like this, that this user can have this kind of rights, and this user can only go ahead and use these kind of rights. So it depends on how you are using it. And similarly, to authorize from the existing project, you can use legacy mode from the users who have logged in and can do anything within the authorization. So you can use this particular part and you can click on this. Similarly, for the metrics based, you can go ahead and select this part. And you can also use a project based system where you can specify that which user can go ahead and use what all tags. Okay, and let's talk about our Jenkins management. So when we talk about Jenkins management, like I was telling you about the features, the plugins, how we can go ahead and use Jenkins features. So you go to the manage Jenkins, go to the manage plugins. So these are the plugins. So the installed plugins are already here. So you have all these kind of plugins which are available as of now. So these are available plugins which you can add as per your requirement. You can also go ahead and use an advanced plugin. You can also use the updates. If you have any kind of update, you can check it from here. So what I'm doing is I will check that do I have a Maven plugin. So I can go ahead and use a Maven plugin, a metadata plugin, integration plugin, dependency plugin, release plugin, invoker. These are all kind of plugins which you can go ahead and use the as a Maven. So for the Maven, basically these are some kind of plugins which are being given to you. So I will go ahead and I will install them. So it says that it is installing. So you can see that it just takes fraction of seconds to go ahead and install it. So once I have it, what I'll do is I will restart my Jenkins. So I'm restarting it. And in the meanwhile, I'll check that do I have the Maven installed. So it is almost there. So installation is completed. Now it is unpacking the Jenkins, the OpenJDK and everything. We will now have a look on the email which post creation of the Jenkins. We will first of all try to create a Jenkins job, and once the Jenkins job is completed, we will have a look that how do we go ahead and compile it, and then how do we go ahead and test on the QA. We will also have a look on the pipeline creation in this course, or probably in the next course, which is an advanced version. And once I have it, we will be able to check that. So basically pipeline, when I mean That means that what I'm trying to do is that one job triggers the another job. So this is all about a brief view of pipelining, and I can see that my Maven is also installed. So what I'll do is I'll check it by using the command which is mvn hyphen version, and I can see that my Apache MVN is here. Great. Now, the most important thing is creation of the project. Now, what I'll do is I will go ahead and I will create one project over here, and probably I will use MVN for the same, and I will go ahead and show you guys. So here we are putting in the archetype, which is my artifact ID. Then I'm putting in my uh, name, the name of the snapshot it will create, the group ID. These are the important features which are required in order to create any kind of project using Maven. So it is now you can see it is installing all sort of dependencies, and in the meanwhile we can also see that our server is also started, and we will again check the uh, our password, that is the admin password. So what we'll do is that we know the location of Jenkins, that is var lib Jenkins. By default var lib is the home. So if I show you over here, you can have a look on the path, the home path, which is var lib Jenkins over here. So we'll go on to cd var lib Jenkins. We will also go on to secrets, and we will check the admin password. So we will see the initial admin password. So this was the password, and you can probably go ahead and save it. Keep me signed in. So in the meanwhile, when we are signing in, what I'll do is I will go ahead, so I can see that it was a successful build. So project has been created. Congratulations, guys. So the project has been created now as a Maven project. Now what we will do is we will go ahead and check the packages, which is my app one. So can see that I have my app one, which has been created. How I came to know about this, these are the values. So if you see over here, the base directory is the root, the package name, the group ID, artifact ID, the package name, the snapshot value, which is much more important, and the archetype directory. Okay, so I have this. Now what I'll do is I will try to build the Maven project. So I will use the command mvn project, mvn package, to go ahead and create my project, or I should say build the Maven project. So now is building my snapshot which has been given, and in the meanwhile I can see that I am there on my Jenkins homepage, and the plugins have been installed, and now I can also see that I have a Maven project. So guys, once you have installed a Maven project, you would not be able to see this particular kind of the bar. Why? Because you might not have a Maven plugin installed. So once you install the Maven plugin, you would be able to see this. Now what I'll do is I will try and create the first job, and so I will have a look and I will see that what the build is failed. I will check it is a compilation error. No problem, we'll fix it. So guys, as you can see that now the build is successfully completed. What I did is that there was some kind of parameters from the pom.xml which was missing, and now I can see that build is already completed, and I'm able to go ahead and use my MVN, and I can see that I have the The target is also available, so I'll go into the target, and once I'm there in the target, I will go ahead and use my command, which is the package information which has been given to me. Now what I'll do is that I will go ahead and use the Java -cp, that is my root, and my app1 and target, and under that my jar file, and I will also use my this. And guys, successfully we have seen that my Maven project has been compiled. So this was a test which I ran, which is Java-cp, and I can see that my Maven project is successfully built, and it is successful as well. So moving on to this, what I will do is I will go ahead and I will start building my job. So when I'm saying start building my job, before that, I would also like to share this with you guys, that what I'm doing is I'm using Ansible over here in order to go ahead and run my job using the Ansible. So what I'll do is I will go ahead and use it. So just one moment, I will. So let's get started with the new job, and I am creating a new job which is a freestyle project. So probably you can go ahead and create a Maven project as well, as it depends on what kind of job would you like to go ahead with. So if you're using a freestyle, you can go ahead with the freestyle job. I can click on OK, and once you have a first job available, so you need to go ahead and specify the requirements. So this is my first job for the Maven project using Ansible in order to deploy Docker. So what I'm doing is the objective of this job is that I will be installing a Docker package and a Docker image as per the requirement, and using Ansible. So I'll write an Ansible playbook, and then post that I'll be able to go ahead and use the Ansible. So guys, just to give you a brief over here, so this is your Jenkins. You can probably go ahead and use the, if you would like to go ahead and discard the old builds, if you have a lot of builds available, you can discard them. You can also use a GitHub project, so you can probably go ahead and put in your repository access, your repository name over here. Once you have the project URL available, you are all good to go. And once it is done, you can also go ahead and disable the automated Maven repository cleanup, because this is the property of Maven. Once it is built, it has the logs to go ahead and clean up. So if you would like to go ahead and delete it, you disable it, you can do that. Then when you say that the project is parameterized, that means you can put in the parameters, that what kind of parameters would you like to go ahead with. So when I'm saying parameters, that means that if you have multiple Ansible roles or modules written over there, you can specify that what Maven artifact would you like to go ahead with, what kind of file parameters you can choose, what Boolean parameters would you like to add, password parameters. So it is a drop down menu which you can. So this is how you can specify that. Then you talk about throttle builds. These are the time period builds which you can specify over here. You can disable the project, you can execute the current concurrent builds which are necessary. You can also go ahead and use all these kind of options. Now what we are doing is, as the source code management, you can specify Git over here. If you have a Git repository, you can simply specify that. If you don't want to go ahead with that, you can specify the none option, and you can write your own if you have any kind of SVN or Bamboo or any kind of repository, you can go ahead and use that. Now, coming on to the triggering of the build. So, how would you like to go ahead and trigger the build? So, do you want to go ahead with the remotely option? You can specify that. If you'd like to go ahead and authenticate via tokenization, you can do that. If you'd like to go ahead and put in something like this. So these are some of the environments, and you can also use the Maven artifacts over here. So let's go ahead and use Jenkins first of all. So what I'll do is I'll go onto the manage Jenkins. I'll go onto my manage plugins, and I'll use because my requirement is Ansible. Right, so I will write Ansible over here, and I will use Ansible, and I will install this plugin. Now, once I have the Ansible installed, probably if required, you guys, you can go ahead and you can restart your Jenkins, because it will go ahead and take just a couple of 2 minutes, probably a minute or so. But this would be a much better approach if you have it. Now, in the meanwhile, make sure, guys, that once you are using Jenkins, just to be on a safer side, what you can go ahead and do is that you can put in the user in the sudoers file. So what I'll do is I'll go on to etc sudoers, and I will go ahead and make an entry of my Jenkins user. So probably I can use Jenkins, and I can specify these parameters. Also, if in case you have created any other user, admin 121 or any other user, you can simply go ahead and make an entry over there, and you're good to go. So as this has been disconnected, now what we'll do is we'll try and get cat or Jenkins secret and initial password. So this is my initial password, and I'll have a look. I'll see. Okay. Okay, so guys, you can see that our Jenkins is up and running now, and we have seen the Java versions also available here. So what we have done is that we have selected the Java version and manual mode, and now we are all good to go. So if you see that, if in case you have Java, if you put in typically get update or upgrade, it will go ahead and install the latest version of Java, which can be a problem for Jenkins. So it can go ahead and use an incorrect version. So Java 8 is the requirement, is the need of the hour. So we have manually set that, and now we are good to go. So we click on the first job, and then we go ahead and build now. But post that, make sure that you have the Jenkins, the Ansible installation completed. So let's see what Ansible is. Ansible is a deployment automation tool which traditionally uses the push approach to achieve its objective by managing all the servers through one single machine running on the Ansible configuration management tool. So basically, guys, the Ansible, when we're talking about, it is a configuration management tool. So if you have like multiple servers, any number of servers which you have, you can just simply list those servers in your directory, which is their etc host file. And once you have that in the etc host file, so if you see over here, Ansible host, I have mentioned a web server's name, that is a parent name or a group name which I have given web servers. Under this heading, you can specify any number of hosts, any number of IPs which you would like to see, and probably you would be able to ping them. You would be able to send the data onto them as well. Now, Coming on to what Ansible is all about. So if you see Ansible here, Ansible is an agentless machine. The first advantage is that you don't need an agent to be installed on the host machine if you would like to use Ansible. So Ansible uses a push approach, which pushes the data or the request onto the other servers, and it created a small temp directory in Hudson project, small temp, and then it deletes it. That is the background of Ansible, and then that is how you go ahead and use it. So when you understand, when I'm saying push, what do you understand by the term push and pull? So push approach does not require an agent. However, when you talk about pull works on a master slave architecture. So you would require an agent to be there at that particular place, at that particular area where you would be going ahead and on the host where you can simply go ahead and use the agent from the master, and you would be able to use those nodes as a slave. But however, here we are not doing it. So push based system are completely synchronous, and you can see the changes made instantaneously whenever you push them. However, that's not the case with the pull. So why is Ansible so much important? Because it is simple, it is very powerful nowadays, it is accessible from any location, and it is an agentless machine. So Ansible beauty is above all Puppet, Chef and other config memory management tool. Reason is it is an agentless machine. So you don't need to push any jar application, you don't need to push any jar or any other node or something like that. If you would like to go ahead and use Ansible, it is a very simple process. Ansible does not require an agent you need to set up for an individual node, and Ansible also supports a pull architecture as well. However, the by default it is a push architecture. In the industry, it is gaining much more popularity because of the usage. And if you talk about the architecture, so it connects to the nodes, push the small program which is called as module. Now these modules go ahead and play their everything. So if you talk about my roles, if you see over here, this is the directory. So if I show you the roles, I have a role which is called as role. Under this directory, I have one more which is called as basic. Now, the beauty of these roles is that I can use these roles in any other location, in any other installation process as well. So it is always recommended that whenever you have roles available with you, you should always go ahead and push those roles on a different location, on a different small modules in a different directories, so that you can use those roles whenever you want, and in any of the playbook. So I will also show you my playbook.yaml file, and yeah, so we will have a look on the playbook. So if you see over here, we have our. I will go ahead and use my playbook.yaml. So if you see over here in the playbook, I have defined the hosts, which are all hosts. Now when I'm saying all hosts, that means I have been using these hosts, which is my 28 server, and under that roles I'm using the role which is my basic one, and that is what we have been watching over here. So we have roles, and under that we have basic, and under that we have tasks. So in every role, the architecture is always like task, was, default, and a template file. So in the under that, when I'm talking about templates, that means the handler as well. where you can put in your shell scripts and everything, and post that you will be able to use them under the roles. So let's have a look again on what we are talking about over here. So when we are talking about roles specifically, what is that means? So okay, so now this is the architecture which we are following. Uh, and this is all about playbooks. Playbook is used to get the implementation changes desired by the users. It is also used to contains the play and which we define in any of the tasks, and we put on the modules as the units. So to automate, we have an automation engine which is there, which have the plugins, APIs, inventory, and the modules. Similarly, the inventory is being used in order to put in the number of hosts. So if you have like 1,000 servers or 10,000 servers, you can define them in one single inventory, and you can use the command Ansible playbook I inventory and the name of the playbook. So you would be able to run that playbook on multiple inventory files. Similarly, the API which we are using over here with Ansible is the REST API, and Python API is used for the command line. We have the plugins which are called as extensions in Ansible, and they perform the same kind of task for like the plugins we have in Jenkins. And if you talk about the configuration management database, so we have a CMDB, that is an Ansible database which keeps the track of all the changes which are done. A database which can help you out with the cloud platform or with a physical server, so it keeps a track. Similarly, we have a cloud, we have a host and a network, and as we have seen that every time you need to go ahead and create an SSH key first of all. Once you have an SSH key available, then only you'll be able to go ahead and use the Ansible on this machine or on your SSH or on your node via SSH. So it uses an ID underscore RSA underscore key underscore pub key or dot pub key, which you transfer from one location to another using SSH hyphen I, and then the key ID, and then you put in the node name. So we have already seen these are the prerequisites. Ansible supports nowadays Linux and Windows as well, which is WinRM, and Python is the most important thing which is required. So I haven't installed it right now recent, because we have already installed Python when we were working with Jenkins. So we have already have a Python, so it's not required. But setting of SSH is much more important thing. So you put in your SSH hyphen copy ID, and you put in your directories. These are the slides which are already shown to you via hands-on practices, and these are the roles which you have seen. We also have in the Ansible some ad hoc commands which we are used to accomplish the task, but here we are using in this course the playbook. However, you can go ahead and use the ad hoc commands as well. Okay, so now we will be installing Ansible. So for the Ansible, the most important thing is SSH key. So if you would like to go ahead with the SSH key, make sure guys that you have an SSH key which should be up and running. And for that, we will create one SSH key, that is via SSH hyphen key gen. So once I have the SSH key up and running, now what I can do is I can simply go ahead and I can use my SSH key, and with this SSH key I can simply go ahead and copy this SSH key to any other directory as well, any other server as well. Okay, so as we have already created an SSH key, now what we will do is we will go on to, and we have already we will have a look on the Ansible. So this is the directory which I have created with the Ansible, So what we have done is we have created an Ansible directory over here, but post that I will just right now I will show you how to install Ansible. So we will install the Ansible, and for installing the Ansible, as we know that we need to first of all add the repository. So I'm adding the repository. Now the repository is added, so I would have to go ahead and update it. So apt get update. So now it is updating. So once it is updated, so now we will install Ansible. So now my Ansible is getting installed, and I should be having my Python version and everything up and running now. I will also check my Java, and if you see Ansible, so we don't have the service running as of now. Ansible start. So now it says that it has failed, but we will check. So what we'll do is we will first of all go ahead and see Ansible hyphen version. So my bad. So it is Ansible hyphen version. Okay, so we have the version of Ansible installed over here, and it says that these are the config files as well, where we can go ahead and use the plugins, the modules and everything. So now what we'll do is we'll try to go and use Ansible, and we will first of all make changes in the files, which is the etc ssh conf file, and post that we will be going ahead and we'll be adding the nodes onto the Ansible, and once we have a node available, we are all good to go. So let's get started on this. Okay, so in the meanwhile, first of all, what we will do is we will try and we will check the configuration. So once I'm logged in, so I will go on to etc ssh and ssh conf. So this is my file which I have, and here I am using my machine. So first of all, the changes which you need to go ahead and do is that you need to go ahead and make some basic changes on the SSH file. That is, you need to define that what kind of host you have. So if you see, if I go to etc SSH, and if I go ahead and do SSH underscore conf, so you see, I have to make necessary changes over here. First of all, hash known host should be yes, and if it is yes, it is absolutely fine. You can also go ahead and have a look on the RSA key and the DSA key. So if you have a look over here, uh, you have two keys available, which is an RSA.pub, which is a public key, and this is your private key. Similarly, your DSA and public and private key is present over here. Now make sure that these keys are available on the host machine. So what I'll do is I'll go to my directory, which is Ansible, and I will check that I have host file, which is my last one, that is my 28 server, which is the other node which I'm using. I can show you over here. So if you see, this is my 28 server, that is this machine. So So I've created this machine the similar way which I have created before. So this is the machine with the private IP28, and now what I'll do is I will first of all use Ansible -m ping all. So if you see that it says that it is unreachable as of now, no problem. So make sure guys that this is the way how you can go ahead and identify the issues in the debug mode. You can go ahead and do that. So what will be doing is we will be going and checking out the roles, and post that probably we can go ahead and fix that error as well. So I go on to the roles, I go on to my basics. This is my role which I have created, which is a basic role, and under the basic role I have created a directory tasks. So under the task, if I show you, I have my file which is called as main.yaml, and under the main.yaml I have written the installation of the Docker. So I'm installing a curl command, I am installing a Docker, and I am installing the packages which is just the updation of them. So that is the all, and host, I have written all, so all the hosts which are present over here I would be able to use them. So if I use if I see this is my present working directory, and if you see over here, these are the directory structure. So let's come on to what Ansible first of all is all about, and probably you should have a much more better understanding. So let's have a look on the working structure of my Jenkins now. So we'll go on to the Jenkins and we'll see that what kind of jobs do we have. So we mentioned first job. We will go ahead and see the configuration of this job, and we'll have a look at what is this job all about. So if you see, we have a none source code management, and under the build I have written etc Ansible role, which is my directory name. Once I have mentioned that I am using my credentials, so these are the Ansible credentials which I have created. So you might have seen we have made an entry of this in my etc stores file as well. We can also verify this. So if you see over here, we have already done this entry, which is NSADM, which is with a new password. These are the entries which have been specifically done for this job, and you can also put in a playbook or an ad hoc command over here. So we are using the playbook, so we have to find that. Now post that, you can also put in an email notification if you would like to go ahead and suppose I am putting in the lakshay.kapoor@tetranoodle.com. So probably I can go ahead and use that, and I can ask them to send me an email. Once it is done, I don't need test because it is a testing job, so it is saved, and then you save it and then you build it. Once you build it, you will be able to see the console output of it, and you see that it has started and successfully completed. So my node was 28, which I have mentioned over here in the etc Ansible hosts, and over here if you see I have defined 28, and this is my other server, this is my local server. So local server means I have a configuration, I am using it from my master onto my other server, and the command which and the playbook which is running is this under my directory, which is war workspace. So it tested everything, it installed the package, it installed the curl command, it installed the Docker, and it also updated my this Ubuntu server. It also installed the NTP as well, which was mentioned under my playbook. So if I go to tasks and if I go ahead and have a look on my main.yml. So if you see over here, I have been mentioning the packages. So I have used install package, and under that I have mentioned the apt module, which item, that is an NTP, which we saw over here, that is my NTP. Similarly, if I talk about my updation, so I am updating it. So this is an XML. This is a YAML file which we are using over here. That is YAML. That is we are using over here with the Ansible, and YAML have some specific syntaxes. So syntaxes is most important thing which is being used nowadays with YAML files. Uh, and you need to be very particular about it. If in case you are not particular about the syntaxes, you might come across with the errors. So these are the items which got called, and we are successfully able to see that our job was successful, and I am able to go ahead and use it. So if I go on to my 28 server, which is this one, so if I go on to connect, and if I go on here, so if I run putty, okay, so I will be able to go ahead and log in the password as well. So I am logged in. Okay, so if you see, if I go ahead and use NTP, it should give me that it is already installed. If I similarly go ahead and use Docker, it says that it is selecting the previous unselected. So currently installed, and I have the Docker over here as well. So this is how you go ahead and you specify that your server has been updated. So all these packages are being installed here using your Ansible, and you are all good to go with the Ansible and the Jenkins. So this was the complete uh, the completion of this course module, where we have seen that we have a Docker installed over here. We have seen, so if you go ahead and Docker PS, you should be able to see that this is the other server. So if you go ahead and check the the requirement on the jobs and everything, you should be able to see that we have a Docker, um, and we can simply go ahead and run my uh, job again to go ahead and check what all the jobs are running, and it is again successfully run. So it has done all the modules and everything. Now, I would also like to show you one more thing over here that we are using, that is a node management system in the Jenkins. So when I'm talking about node management system, so as of now, I'm using my master server. So this master server means that I am trying to go ahead and use my local server as a Jenkins server. But what I can do is I can simply go ahead and add the other new nodes on this Ansible on this Jenkins server as well. So what do I have to do is I just have to add one more node, which is node 1 or 2. If in case I have a lot of jobs running on the Jenkins, so I don't have much executors available, so I can simply go ahead and use my node, and I can change my server, I can go ahead and make changes on my configuration in the Jenkins that will impact the the working of it on my other node. So this is all about the Jenkins and everything, and hope you have been enjoying this course, and hope you have learned something from this course. And I wish you all the best with these technical stacks. You can always reach out to Tetranoodle for any concerns, for any queries, for any issues if you have related to the technical things, related to the problems which you might be facing across with the SSH keys and with any other things. Every documentation, everything is mentioned over here, so uh, I can show you that this is my course overview. We were facing issues with the DevOps. And we have understood that DevOps is a blend of dev plus operations. This is the AWS overview. This is the Jenkins overview, along with the Ansible and Docker. We have already given you the Ansible overview as well. And what we are deploying is a Docker, and we are also showing you that the solutions that is a goal which we are achieving via Ansible. This is the case study where we were facing issues and we used SSH in order to complete them. The achievement is that we were able to install the plugin, manage the security in Ansible, in Jenkins, attaching the volumes, and many more. So I am your trainer, and this is my profile. And once you complete this course, you will be able to get the certification, the completion certification as well for the same. It was a nice talking to you, and I wish you all the best for the next upcoming projects. We are coming up with many more new projects like Hygia. We are coming up with new projects like the new courses like Azure, AWS, Complete, Terraform, Packer, use of Kubernetes, and many more. So feel free to get in touch whenever you feel like. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Hello guys, so now what we will see is we will see the log files, how you go ahead and you audit your Jenkins log, how you see the log files, how they are created, what is the home directory. So, and we will also try and connect the node, a different node, with our master Jenkins server, and we will see that how we can go ahead and install or use our Ansible scripts to use that executor and work with that particular executor. So let's get started. So this is the Jenkins server at the background, which you can see behind my putty session. And first of all, we will log into our Jenkins server. Prior to that, we'll see that our Jenkins is working, what is the process state and everything. So what we will do is we will try and find out the processes, so we can see that the process is running, the Jenkins process. As we all know that this is the home directory of the Jenkins, and we will first of all log in. So it is wall lib Jenkins switch and initial password. So we have the initial password with us. Once we will be able to log in, we'll have a look and see that how we will work with. So we will see our initial password. We have the initial password. We will log into the server. So this is our Jenkins server. We have already seen that how the job is running. Now, before going ahead, we will see that how the log files work, what is the requirement of the log files, how do we check that. So what we will do is we will go on to the manage Jenkins, and then we will go on to manage plugins. Once we have the plugins, we will go on to the installed plugins, and we will have a look. We will see audit trail. So we can see that on the installed Jenkins we don't have audit trail, so we will try and find it out from the available. So we will use audit, and we have the audit trail plugin. So we will install it. So it will be downloaded, and once it is downloaded and it was installed, then post that, so it is downloaded successfully. So it says that you have to reboot it. So I'm rebooting my Jenkins. Once my Jenkins is rebooted, in the meanwhile I will have a look, I will see what is my directory. So I will go on to war lib Jenkins, and I will see the logs. So I went into the logs, I went to tasks, and I will have a look on my logs which are already generated. So these are the cleanup logs, the download logs. So log management is the mostly used criteria in the DevOps, because every time whenever there's a job failure or there is any kind of issue with the command not running or the Ansible issue, you need to go ahead and check the logs, because troubleshooting includes the logs as well. So log management is the is the most important criteria which you guys need to understand. So when I can see it is restarted now, and now I will go on to my Jenkins, and probably what I'll do is I'll have a look, I'll check from my managed Jenkins, from the available, or probably from the installed. I'll go on to audit, and now I can see I have the audit logs available. So once I have the audit logs available, I need to create that particular file. So what I'll do is I'll go on to my job, and I will configure the audit logs. So I'll go here, I will try and create the audit logs. So this is the project which I have created, and once I have the audit logs available, I should be able to see them under my Warlick Jenkins directory. So I'll go on to, first of all, and I will have a look, and I will see my audit status, Jenkins file. So if you see here, this is my audit log trail now available. So I went into the configuration, I am putting in my log file, and I will be setting up the location, which will be my home directory. So if you see here, I'll go on to Warlick Jenkins, I'll put it over here, and I will put the criteria, which will be my Jenkins underscore audit log. I can put in the size. So by default I am putting in 20 MB, and count I am putting in 5, and I am putting in statistics. That statistics can be my project statistics. Apply and save it. Once I have done this, what I'll now do is I'll try to run my job. I will click on build now, and I will go on to console output, and I see that the job is successfully ran. And now I'll go on to the same, and I'll try and find out the audit logs, and I believe I should be having it now. So if you see here, now I have the audit logs available. So I'll go on to the log status, and I'll check. So it says that the job started by the user admin on Node Jenkins, which is started at this time and completed in this particular time, and it was success. So this is how you can go ahead and you can check the logs. If you would like to see that the XML file, you can also go ahead and you can have a look on the XML file how we are getting the audit logs. So this is the kind of a pattern which has been set, which will basically find out the Hudson file. Now, bringing the most important information in front of you guys are these two logs. Now, what this file is, this is a log file that is created for editing specifically. And now if you see, so these particular files are used to go ahead and find out the log pattern. So if I see this file, you can see that the configuration submit is by the admin user itself. And for the same reason, if you see the source, I have already mentioned over here the Ansible admin and the admin user, so that we should be able to go ahead and work smoothly. Now, this is about how we will be going ahead and we'll be enabling the audit logs. So audit logs are very important nowadays because you have multiple users, under the team, under one team who are triggering the job. It can be a dev guy, it can be a testing guy, it can be a DevOps guy. So you need to figure out if in case there is any kind of audit or there is any kind of a requirement that you need to pull out the information, you can simply go on to the audit logs, which is the directory that is warlib Jenkins, and under that you can simply go ahead and you can have a look on the on the Jenkins audit log, which is which you can simply see that you have the started user and the job was successful run. Now, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll show you one more plugin, which is our enabling the email extension plugin. So what we will do is we will go on to our job again, and what we'll do is we'll go on to the manage plugins and we will have a look on the first of all installed, which is my email. So I can see that my email extension plugin is already there, so no need to install it. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I will be putting in under my job that the action what I should be doing, and under the configuration that post this build I should be getting an email notification. So I'm putting in my email address, which is my the address which I'm using over here. So any build which I should be able to go ahead and trigger, I should be getting a job. So if I'm clicking on a build now, and if I have make sure guys that you should have SMTP server available on this server, on this Jenkins server first of all, in order to receive those mails. Because if you don't have an SMTP server available, I doubt that you should be you would be able to go ahead and receive the email notification. Because if you don't have an email server, if you don't have a POP3 or SMTP or any kind of a server available, it would be a problem for you. So I don't have it right now, so it was just a trial which I was showing you. Now what we will be doing is we will have a look on how the SMTP server is being used nowadays, and how we will be able to go ahead and check that I have to go ahead and use the SMTP server. I can use a Gmail server for the same as well. So what I'll do is I'll try and go ahead and configure it in front of you. So if you go on to your Jenkins again and you go on to your configuration of the settings, and if you go on to your email, you should be able to see that we should be able to go ahead and put an email notification. So under the extended email notification, what I'll do is I'll put in my SMTP server, which is my smtp.gmail.com, and under my user, which is my use SMTP authentication. So I'll be using an SMTP authentication over here. So that is why I'm using my SMTP server details. And by default, the user email suffix, I'm using the same. And under the advanced option, I can go ahead and I can use my port. My port would be the user. First of all, I'll define my user home and my SMTP authentication method over here. So I'll click on user name, which is gmail.com. I'll put in the password. Once I've done this, I'll use the port, SMTP port. So I should be able to go ahead and put in 465. So once I am putting in my my required information, it will be asking me for a chain set, which is my character set, that is UTF, and under the plain text also. So the default context type, I can go ahead and I can put an additional account as well if I want to. So I'm putting in the content, which is my plain text only, and once I have it, I will be putting in the default subject. So that would be my project name, and with the default content as well. And now I should be able to go ahead and do this. So I will apply, I will save it, I'll go on to my job, I'll configure it, I'll go on to my post this. So I'm putting in, I'll click on this and I'll apply it, and I'm saving it, and now I'm again building it. So I'll see that my job is triggered and it is successfully running as well. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead, and if I have my SMTP server properly installed, properly configured, I should be able to get my email. So I have it, I just checked that. So I have it on my phone. I have got the email, and that is how you go ahead and you configure a job using your email notification. So guys, for a building of a job, what we did is, in a nutshell, we specified the GitHub repo link to pull the code from the Jenkins, and post that we specify the previous job that was triggered. If you have it, if you don't have it, you don't need to go ahead and put that. If you would like to go ahead and create a new job, it is good for you. You specify if you have a testing goal or something, and then you triggered it. So continuous delivery basically enables a constant flow of changes into the production. Now when we say deployment, continuous deployment basically means that you don't have to go ahead and put in any manual effort on to your CI/CD pipeline in any of these steps. And when we are talking about continuous delivery, it is basically the CD pipeline, which includes the build automation, continuous integration, testing of the automation, and deployment of the automation. So these are some and we have also seen that some of the plugins which we used in order to make our job much more successful and much more beneficial for us. Now what we'll do is we'll try to create a pipeline first of all. So what I'll do is I'll click on this and I'll create the second job pipeline. Once I have it, I should be able to go ahead and create my pipeline. So what I'll do is I'll put a list view and I'll click on OK. Okay, so now I have my view available. So I have to first of all so this is kind of a view which I have it now. If you guys don't want to go with this particular view, what you can do is you can go on to the manage plugins. You can go on to the pipeline plugins which are required. So you put in the pipeline. So you put in first of all the available, and you go on to the pipeline. You search for the pipeline plugins. So once you have the pipeline plugins available, you should be able to go ahead and create a job. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll try to create a. So as I've said that we would require a plugin for this, so I'm putting in a build pipeline plugin. I'm downloading it. Once I have a pipeline plugin available with me, I'll go ahead and I'll create a pipeline job. So it would require a reboot. So guys, these plugins are the request which you will get at the time when you are setting up your CI/CD tool. But moving further, you will be getting the ad hoc request for different new features which are being added onto Jenkins. And with that, you can simply go ahead and you can use those particular features, but make sure that you take the required downtime in order to get your job plugins working. So as we have already installed the plugin over here, so this was I will go ahead and I will remove this. Probably I don't need it. So if you see now here, this is my third job. I will create a pipeline view for this, and once I have a pipeline view, what I'll do is I'll put in some restrictions on this. So this is a pipeline view demo. Once I have it, what I'll do is I'll go on to, so if you see, it is always on an upstream downstream relationship. I can put in my initial job. What is my initial job? And once I have it, I'll go ahead and put in the standard build card. I'll put in the restrict trigger to the most recent build, which should be no, and always allow a manual trigger. I will put in all these things. These settings are for the initial job, and the configuration is recording to the pipeline. So once I have it, I will apply and I'll click on OK. Okay. So once I have it, I should be able to go ahead and let me see. Okay, so if you see over here, I clicked on my job, my third job, and I can see the pipeline view over here. So if I click on run, now if I see over here, this is a yellow color one. So yellow color means that the job is under the progress. So once you have it, you should be able to go ahead and do that. So if you see now, it is a green color job, and if you go ahead and you see the console view of it, you should be able to get that because the job is already completed. So we'll go on to the 24th job and we'll see the console output. So if you see that it is triggered, it is successful. And when did it got triggered? It just got triggered right away, right now. So if you see over here, if I show you the timings of this particular server, I should be able to let me see. So if I go into my session, I'll try to go ahead and put in the password. Yeah, so I am onto it. So if I go on to the date, if you see over here at the same time, that is 201, that is right now, and the job which is triggered is at 2. So that means that we are able to configure our pipeline in a much more appropriate way. So this is how you can go ahead and you can do that. You can also rerun your job using the same pipeline, and you can have a look of that. You can also go ahead and configure your pipeline, but make sure that you have a build pipeline plugin available. Once you have it, you can go ahead and manage the plugin from here as well. So that is a complete overview from the pipeline perspective, from a pipeline view. We now the question arises that why is it taking my job, which is an existing job? Now the reason is that we have configured it for the initial job. So once I have this initial job running, now if I go ahead and I create one more job under the same, I should be able to go ahead and put in an add step to it. So I'll put in one more job, which is, let me see, GitHook, and I'll go ahead with a freestyle job. So it doesn't matter that this job gets fail or success. This is a pipeline review job. So I will go ahead and I'll apply to it. I'm doing nothing on this. Now what I'll do is I'll run this job, and what I'll do is I'll go on to this. I'll go on to the configuration, and I will set that my pipeline should be enabled. So if I go on to my old jobs, build other project, so if I go on to my job which is listed, let me get the name of the job. So that is Git webhook. So what I'll do is I'll click on build now. I know this job would be a successful job, so it is already completed. Now if I go on to my Jenkins, and if I go on to my view, and if I add a step onto this, so copy from Git webhook, okay, and what I'll do is I'll put in the name over here, aggregate the downstream, include the failed result as well, save, and build now. So this job is completed as well. So I go on to my third job demo, and if I run this job, so now if you see, I triggered my first job, that is the first pipeline job, and it is completed. And if you see over here, now I just show you a demo again. So I'll build the first job. Now if you see that this job is being triggered, in the meanwhile you see that Git webhook is under pending, and it will be restarted once that is successful. So if you see, now it has completed. Reason, so the reason is that we have configured our pipeline that once the first job is completed, it should go ahead and trigger the second job, that is my Git webhook job. So if I'm going ahead and I can go ahead and configure from the first job, I can put in the name again. So I can put in the other job, which can be a Git webhook job as well. So I'll go ahead and I can also go ahead and put some more parameters on this. Once I have the parameters available, I'll go on to apply and save it, and I'll trigger the job again. So if you see, this job is triggered now, and if you go on to the Git webhook, you can see that it is under the pending review. Similarly, if you go on to the webhook 1, you'll see the same kind of criteria. So this is completed, and I believe this is also now completed. So this is how you go ahead. And if you see 5 seconds ago, and you also see this job, this is also 13 seconds ago. So this means that our pipeline is absolutely working fine. So this was all about parametering my job according to the pipeline. So this is called as a pipeline as a code, which provides me the functionality for defining the pipeline flow in our source control, or resuming, suspending of the job, building a pipeline. So it is just a plugin which I have added, and we are all good to go with this. Now, coming on to my nodes. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll add some nodes onto my Jenkins server. So what I'll do is, first of all, I'll go on to the new node. I'll put in the name of the node, which will be my node 1 over here. So we'll go ahead and we'll put in the node name, which is a permanent node. I'll click on OK. Now I can see that this is my node, which is the directory. This is my node 1 which I'm putting. So this is a slave node, and number of executors I'll put 2, and I will also put in the remote directory, which is a mandatory case over here. Reason why I'm using this a mandatory case, because whenever you go ahead and you work on the directory, so we will use var lib Jenkins first of all. So reason is that we need to go ahead and put in the executors. So when I'm saying executors, that means that I would require every time the number of executors to proceed, so that I should have that kind of a bandwidth, that if I have much more jobs which are running on my server, I should be able to go ahead and execute it multiple times, or as per my requirement. So that is the reason why I'm using it. So once I have the remote directory available, what I'll do is I'll put in the credentials. So I'm putting in my credentials over here, which is the ANS admin, and I'm saving it, and I can see now right now the job this is not a connected one. So what I'll do is I'll first of all check my system name. I'll go on to my node first of all, and I'll see the launching of the agent. So if you see that the SSH is trying to build a connection, so we haven't specified yet that how it should be created, what it should be. And if you see over here, we have to configure it. So we will go on to the launch it via executor, via the same thing. So I'll put in the host name or non-verify verification strategy. So it depends on what your requirement is. So you're putting in the port name, you're putting in the other JVM options, the connection type out, the remote working directory, and everything whichever is required. So once you have it, you save it. So you go on to your master server, and once you are there on the master server, you need to configure it. So you're also putting in over here the environment variable if you would like to go ahead and put in. So you can add those environment variable. We don't need it right now, so not a. So once you are setting up your host, you need to go ahead and put in your credentials over here. So I am putting in the credentials over here, and I'm adding those credentials, and I have mentioned my host machine. This is my host machine, and this is my Jenkins machine which I have. So now I'll go ahead and I'll try to go ahead and save it. Now the important thing, guys, over here is that every time whenever you are adding a node, you have to make sure that your node should always have a Java version. So if you can see over here, I am getting a error which says that Java 8 is non-installed, because we are using the Java, because we are using the Jenkins, so using the Java or SSH credentials both. So what we need to do is we need to go ahead and install the Java first of all. So once I have the Java available, I'll go ahead and I'll try to install the Python as well. because by default it is an agentless machine, our Jenkins machine. So we know that the agentless machine sometimes take time, because it needs some mechanism so that it can go ahead and and communicate via Python, because it creates the temporary directory of the Ansible. So that's why we'll go ahead and do that. So I guess that we will be able to see the Java version. So we have a Java version now available. So what I'll do is I'll first of all install Python on this as well. So if you see, that, sorry. So we'll go ahead and we'll install the Python. So it says Python is already there. So now what we'll do is we'll try to reboot this machine. We'll go ahead and we'll try to reboot the machines. So this would be the change, which we can see that we are able to go ahead and install everything.
Hello there, and congratulations on finishing the course and making it to our very special bonus lecture. You get an e-gold star. Thank you so much for enrolling in our course and making it all the way to the end here. We want to share with you information about some of the other educational resources that we have built. Since you've taken this course, we would love to see you in many of our other courses, and we want to give you the absolute best value and create an awesome win-win-win situation. You get smarter, our courses get better, we sell more courses. It's a win-win-win. Here are all the courses that we have published so far, and more are being worked on as we speak. Well, I speak and you listen. We also have a website, www.tetratutorials.com, where we publish these courses. In the coming months, you can expect this list of courses to grow and multiply in numbers. One thing that we can guarantee is that we will strive to bring you the most useful and relevant information in all of these courses. Taking one of these courses will improve your life. Be it a better job, or getting a promotion, or gaining a much needed skill set to launch your next idea. As lifelong learners ourselves, we know that as a student, if you enjoyed working with a group of instructors